your meeting start now.
I prefer not to sit down if that's okay.
Yep.
As you can see, I'm class of 36, Pearland Citizens Police Academy Association alumni. Very long name. I ran in the special election last year and I lost, and I'm running again this time because I fervently believe that this city, our budget, we have a lot of problems with our budget. And I don't think that we put a lot of emphasis where we need to. And I was going back and watching some of the city council meetings, and in 2021, we had the mistake with the water fiasco, and then also I did see where Mr. Carroll had gone to talk to the city council that the police were not being paid according to market value, and they had offered, the Evergreen had offered 5%, and then the city came back at 4.5%. So I ended up going and looking at there's a website, the Texas Commission on Law Enforcement put out a report in November of 2022. So I went to go take a look at where our law enforcement sits, and we are not on par. We're behind Baytown, we're behind Pasadena, and the max range is actually behind as well. So I've always been a big proponent of law enforcement. I went through the training class. I volunteered for an active shooter program. I've done a lot of different events locally. I've been a supporter of the Pearland 100 Club for 4 years now. I actually worked the government section at Officer Akanya's funeral, attended the dedication, actually attended parts of his trial as well. I think it's very important for whoever is in office to make sure that our law enforcement are paid well and that they have the tools and skills necessary to do their job, but also to protect us. When it comes to my broad platform of running, it's fiscal responsibility, it's transparency with government. I believe that the job could be done better, and so those are the issues that I'm running on. And of course, as I've lived here since 2004. I bought a house actually right around the corner, and I went and talked at city council back in. I talked to city council a couple of times, but one of them had to do with the water fees. And so in 2021, I was complaining that my water bill was $79 when it used to be $40, and now it's $120. And now I know that city council is coming up to them again in the summer to raise it more than what they anticipated, which is going to be an increase in fees. They haven't done anything to give us relief, to find additional revenue. It just feels very tax and spend, no cuts, no looking at ways to make sure that our core things are taken care of, like our law enforcement, like our personnel, like our city staff. But we're just like asking the taxpayers for more and more money. And I initially started this because I thought to myself, well, what's gonna happen to me if my husband passes away and then I only have one source of income? Can I retire here? Can I afford to retire here? I wanted my daughter to buy a house here. COVID hit, interest rates blew up, the housing market blew up. Now she couldn't afford to move to Pearland. I would like to be able to attract new families to Pearland. I'd like to be able to keep the families here in Pearland, and that includes the senior citizens and those who really love living here and the passion for Pearland. So I did a story on YouTube. The initial reason I moved to Pearland was because of crime. I lived in Houston, and I was watching my car getting broken into. They were trying to steal the radio. I think HPD showed up 4.5 hours later, and then the very next week they broke into my rental car. So I said, I can't raise a family here in Houston. I need to find somewhere that has good schools and a good law enforcement, and that's why I chose Pearland. So. And I promise no voodoo math.
Okay.
Do you have any questions?
Yeah, so how would you define, supporting the police?
I think that, one, they should have a fair salary, that we want to live in a city that, that we're protected, that's why we moved to the suburbs, right? So we should, be there for them, whether it's salary, whether it's volunteering, whether it's promoting, you know, the good name, their honor in the community. I think it takes a lot of different routes to promote and I'm so nervous.
You're fine, you're great. Deep breath.
Deep breaths. So I went on a ride along, and the officer, there was somebody had discharged a firearm, and it was at this Texas saloon. It's no longer there anymore. And I just remember he made a U-turn on Macawa, one of the worst streets to be driving on, like 90 miles an hour. And he's like, I need you to type this into my laptop. And I'm like, I don't know how you do this and drive. And then he said, there is a shotgun in the trunk of my car, and if something happens to me, I need you to take that out, and I need you to use it. And I said, I don't know if I can shoot a shotgun, but I will. And I will protect you. And so, yeah.
Okay.
What ended up happening is that I ended up sitting in the car for like 3 hours while reports were done, so, yeah, ended up being very anticlimactic.
Scott?
Okay, so, thank you, by the way, I'm highly impressed that you knew the stats coming in with us in Baytown and Pasadena and all that.
They're worse now. Worse than, since 2022, they've gotten worse.
Huh?
2022, they've gotten worse.
Yeah, they've gotten worse.
Way worse.
But I don't know when your stats were, but you knew the stats, so that's great.
And I think you're due for another review after 3 or 4 years.
They're doing it as we speak, supposedly gonna be ready for this budget process, supposedly. So my question would be, when I started here 25 years ago, we were third on the list of cities that they compared us to. The list of cities that the association and the city agrees to. We are now 10th out of 11 on that same list, with Baytown and Pasadena being almost $10,000 ahead of us per year. That being said, how would you face that problem? You know, trying to get us to a competitive salary with other comparable cities. I mean, not cities we chose, cities that the city chose. They paid an organization to do the comparisons, and they chose based on a multitude of factors. So how would you go about it, and how much of a priority would that be?
Well, considering that I love my lifestyle here with the safety of the police around me, it would be very high priority for me. I've always, when big things come out about, you know, somebody like a murder or just, I don't know, something really bad happening in the community, I know that you guys are going to get it handled and get it done, and you will figure out who did it, and they will be held accountable. So we cannot get to the point where we're just assuming that, you know, everything's gonna stay okay because we've gotten to a certain point. I know that there was a lot of talk about, you know, questions on the increases, and it was like, can we do this much of an increase? And, you know, people said Camp Carr was trying to defund the police, but what I saw was an active discussion going on, like how do we continue to engage in these discussions? And it can't just be shut down. We have to talk about other departments. We have to talk about other cities. We need to talk about that pay. How do we retain the officers here, the good ones? How do we bring in the best of the best if we're not competing salary-wise with these other cities? When I think about, I gave birth to my daughter in Baytown. When I think of Baytown, I don't think about a great police department. So I don't understand why they're even there compensation-wise. as opposed to Pearland Police Department.
They're the highest.
Yeah, I did see that, so,
They're high, way up there.
yeah.
And they are getting people from all over the country to come there. Kinda. I mean, some of them are leaving because it's Harris County, but they're coming.
Well, that well-paid employees are happy employees that stay employees, right? So we have to consider that, we have to take that into account, and we have to keep that as an active discussion. And if the people that they choose to do the compensation survey, the market value survey, if they can, I don't know if that's the same person that they're gonna choose this time, but then we go back to the table, why did we choose these people? Why are we using them? Why are we thinking that this one say and not a second opinion, you know, maybe we should consider another opinion about a compensation survey and not just sticking to Evergreen.
So, the next question I have is would you support open negotiations between the Pearland Police Officer Association and city management? So there's avenues for that in Texas law to refine that, but without getting into those avenues, as a city council member, would you support the Pearland Police Officer Association being able to openly negotiate for better pay and benefits with the city management?
I think it's important that you have to have that type of communication. I did see on your core values for your PPOA is approachability, right? You want them to be able to approach you, but they need to be approachable as well for those types of conversations and those type of negotiations. I don't know what exactly the parameters or the guardrails are of an open negotiation. Are we talking about, you know, going to the city council meetings? Like, what does that mean?
I'm talking about meeting with city government so that they can understand what our side is and what we're looking for as far as where we want to be. We hear a lot from our elected officials that we're the best police department in Texas, and I think every one of them has said it, just from things that I've seen.
Yeah.
But when it comes to pay and benefits, all of a sudden we're average or below.
Yeah.
So,
And if someone is giving you average or below pay, you can certainly feel those accolades don't feel like they have weight, right? It really doesn't feel like it has weight. It's like, hey, you're great, but I'm gonna pay you average.
so if you were on council, you would not have a problem with us meeting with city management to discuss our wants and needs for the next budget year and wanting them to hear us out in a meaningful way and not just,
Quick, yeah, not platitudes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I would definitely be for you guys having serious conversations, and you should be. For the fact that you're asking the question makes me kind of sad. I hope that's not actually what's happening.
You think we should have contract, maybe a contract, like a 2-3 year contract?
I'm sorry,
Are you in
what?
favor of like contracts? Are you in favor of contracts, like a 2 or 3 year contract with the city, as far as pay and benefits with us? Would you like that type of thing? Like a contract?
No, I used to do intellectual property. I'm aware of what
Yeah.
contracts are. I'm
But
just
you know, a lot of
not,
cities have contracts with
I'll
the
give-
police
I
department.
I don't
Yeah.
wanna get into the.
I'm just saying, like long-term stuff.
I would have to take a look over your
Okay.
current contract situations are before.
You don't
I-
have one.
That's why you're asking that. Okay, gotcha. Are you talking about employees don't have the contracts?
No,
I mean-
he's talking about, I know, I agree with that, I'm not
Yeah.
getting into the weeds, but he's talking about negotiating for
Long-term stuff.
For long-term, like, hey, over the next 3 years, we're gonna get 10%, or,
Mm,
3.3, 3.3.
Yeah, something like that.
To get us up from ninth on the list to second on the list over a certain amount of years, will you agree to get us there over a certain amount of
Yeah.
years?
Gotcha,
Something like that.
instead of having to come back to the table every
Every
3
year.
years and
Yeah.
ask for the
Well,
bread.
it's tough for the city to come up with $10 million in 1 year, but over the long haul, they could.
They can lose 10 million in 1 year. We found that out.
So,
Yeah.
we know.
My husband's in the union, so they do have like those cost of living pay increases built into their contracts. I understand what you're asking about.
But like what he said, as far as pay, but that goes a little thicker in the woods, in the weeds, getting the guys here. Cause when I came here, the first thing I looked at
Hey,
was the pay.
me too.
I will tell you right now, that's what everybody looks at. Look at the benefits, look at the pay. But, well, if we were up here at the top, we would be getting, I think, the cream of the crop, because Missouri County is better to work in and live in than Harris County is.
Yeah.
It don't take 5 seconds to figure that out. I'm real close to the guys at Baytown. I'm on the TMP board, so I talk to all those guys. They're getting the guys over there, but the work is in Harris County still. The guys are kind of like, oh, it's a, like you said, it's kind of a dump.
Yeah.
It's in Harris County too. The DA's hard to work with. They don't file charges. The crooks get out. They no bond. They don't do that here in Missouri County usually. They stick bonds on them and they stay in jail sometimes. The whole quality of life is better, but we got to get them.
Yeah.
When we're 11th and 10th on the list, you ain't getting them. I think we're. I'm not on the streets anymore, but I mean, you got to get there's not the pool's not as big as it used to be. I mean, everybody has every profession's having a problem with these younger kids. They don't want to. Some don't want to work, but you want to get the best ones, right? You pay them right. You have better benefits package. We'll get them.
Yeah, pay you better. Maybe you don't have to live elsewhere either.
But every year, 2% ain't doing it. That's all we're getting. I mean, 2%. It's a joke.
2%
It's
is not a cost
it's
of
a
living
joke.
raise.
This is a joke. I've been here forever, so I mean, they fire me, be doing me a favor, I guess. But 2%'s a joke. It's getting ridiculous.
It is, 2%.
And then they give you, then we're getting a lump sum. And they get the guys at top down. Oh, we'll give you a lump sum. That's a joke too.
Yeah.
Okay, is there anybody else that has a question? Anybody? Just complain with that. Okay.
Thank you.
You did good. No, you did good.
I was like,
I'm getting nervous.
and then you gotta put my opponent right there in front of me.
Well, he